T-Bird fans, we welcome you to a brand new edition of T-Bird Talk. I'm Cloud County Community College Sports Information Director, Toby Nosker. This week on T-Bird Talk, we'll have an opportunity to visit with two sophomore members of the Cloud County Community College wrestling team, as we'll be joined by 125-pound wrestler Nolan Bradley of Lawrence, Kansas, and 141-pound wrestler Daniel Vines of Concordia, Kansas. The Cloud County Community College wrestling team went 1-1 in a pair of Kansas Jayhawk Community College conference duels Wednesday night in Arley Bryant Gymnasium. Now, the T-Birds lost a close, tight duel to Neosho County Community College 24-21, but bounced back to take down Colby in the nightcap 27-17. Sophomore Mac Chambers, ranked number 6 nationally in the 174-pound weight class, went 2-0 on the day. Chambers scored a second period fall over Malik Ayanrinde of Neosho County before taking down Kamari Johnson of Colby by a 7-3 decision. Freshman Jacob Vasquez won 2 matches by decision at 157 pounds. Vasquez picked up an 8-5 decision over Hunter Jennings of Neosho County, followed by a 3-0 decision over Alex Schmuck of Colby. Freshman Micah Cothers, wrestling at 184 pounds, captured a 5-0 decision over Dylan Wagerman of Neosho County before scoring a first-period fall over Mamadou Seen of Colby. And Nolan Bradley won by forfeit against Neosho County in his 125-pound bout. In his final match of the night, Bradley secured a 15-5 major decision over Luis Vasquez of Colby. Now, Jaden Berry, DJ Gillens, Caleb Talkington, and Daniel Vines each went 1-1 in the tri-duel. Cloud County is now 3-9 in duels this season, including 1-3 in Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference duel action. The T-Birds next travel to Arc City to face the Cali College Tigers in a duel on Wednesday, January 29th at 7 p.m. Today, an opportunity to visit with 2 of the 7 sophomores that were recognized on sophomore night, Nolan Bradley and Daniel Vines. This is T-Bird Talk.
Are you a Kansas or Nebraska high school senior who's thinking about your next steps after high school? If so, you qualify for Cloud County Community College's $500 Early Bird Scholarship. All you have to do is visit campus before December 13th and have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you get a $500 scholarship guaranteed. So come visit Cloud and see why our students are Cloud proud. On your visit, you'll see our campus, meet with an academic advisor, and get a chance to have all your questions answered. Set up your campus visit today by giving us a call at 800-729-5101 extension 212 or visiting us online at cloud.edu/admissions.
This week on T-Bird Talk, an opportunity to visit with 2 sophomore members of the Cloud County Community College wrestling team. Joining us, we have Nolan Bradley from Lawrence, Kansas, and Daniel Vines from Concordia. And I appreciate you two taking time to come in and to visit with us. And we just had the sophomore night recognition that took place a Wednesday night. The only home duel that the T-Bird wrestling team gets this season. But Nolan, has it kind of hit you in any way that the end of your sophomore year, the end of your career as a T-Bird wrestler is starting to wind down?
Yeah, it's definitely hit me. I'm starting to cherish every moment more for sure, because I know this is it, and I don't think I'm going to go on to another 2 year to wrestle at least. So, yeah, just trying to take it all in while I can.
I want to talk a little bit about the season and still what's left to come in the season in just a moment. Daniel, for you, what was kind of the emotions like with sophomore night, the only chance to wrestle in front of the home crowd this year?
Yeah, I know it kind of sucks. I was raised in Concordia, so I've got to wrestle in Concordia my whole life. So this is probably my last time ever wrestling in Concordia. So other than that, it was pretty fun. Other than that being the last time wrestling in Concordia.
Let's kind of talk a little bit about your guys' story. And Daniel, let me start with you. You stay close to home and where you grew up in Concordia, coming here to Cloud County Community College. What was the recruiting process like for you out of high school? How did Cloud County enter the picture, and why did you feel like being a T-Bird was the best fit for you?
So basically, I wrestled my entire life, and once you've done it your entire life, you got a couple more years left. Might as well try and see how good you can get. So coming here, that was a good process. Julian Smith, he's a great coach, so it wasn't much of a decision coming here. Whenever I met the guy, I knew I was coming here.
Were you talking to other schools?
I was talking to a couple other schools, but I honestly wasn't really too dead set on wrestling till I talked to Julian here.
You said you grew up wrestling. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about how wrestling entered your life and why it became such a big part of your life.
So I remember, I used to live in Garden City, and both of my cousins, they both lived here, and they were wrestling like the kids fed state, and I remember me and my mom, we went to watch them, and I liked watching it a lot, so I wanted to try it out. And I was like 7 when I started, so I was pretty young when I first got introduced to it, and we didn't really know anybody who wrestled in Garden City, so it was kind of a new thing, so it was pretty fun.
What separates wrestling, though, from other sports that you may have tried or you competed in throughout your life, and what makes wrestling stand out? Why is that your passion?
Well, wrestling, it really treats you to have a lot of discipline in your life, and without wrestling, I wouldn't be the same person that I am today, because wrestling's taught you a lot, made you go through a lot of challenges, and just with wrestling, it helps you out with so many things in your life, and I feel like once you've wrestled, most things in life are pretty easy.
Nolan, for you, how did the sport itself enter the picture? Tell me about your wrestling background.
So my high school wrestling coach is the dad of like my hometown best friend, Eric Streeter, who is actually wrestling at Labette right now. And me and Eric were playing on a t-ball team when we were like 5 that my dad actually coached. And his dad, Randy, came to watch and asked my dad if I wanted to wrestle with Eric and join his kids club team that he had. And so I did, and that's when I started when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And then he had really been my coach all through that kids club and middle school. And then, like I said, he was also my high school coach at Free State. And then Julian started recruiting me probably after my junior year, and just like what he had to offer, and I think it was a good choice to come here.
And you made it sound like earlier this could be the end of the road for you, not looking at moving on beyond Cloud County. Mm-hmm. Had you given much thought, even throughout high school, about this being something you could do, though, at the collegiate level, being able to actually wrestle?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of thought, but yeah, I don't know. It's just went through a lot of challenges, like Dan says, and it makes you a better person. But I think I've gone through enough of those now.
What is it about wrestling that you loved so much? Why did it become a passion for you?
I got pretty good at it at a young age, and I just like the feeling of winning, just being good at something, and that was wrestling. So that's why I've done it for so long.
And you had a successful high school career there at Lawrence Free State, right?
Yes, sir.
And so the opportunity to move on to the next level, tell me about those initial conversations with Coach Smith. What did he kind of present to you, and what were you looking for in a school and in a wrestling team?
I was looking for a team and a family and someone I could go out there and be myself with and, like I said, grow and get wins, because that's a great feeling. And Julian really presented that when I came on a visit, and I had already known Daniel and another sophomore that was here when I had taken my visit, and it just seemed like a good fit for me. And yeah. Do
you feel like you made the right choice?
Yeah, I feel like I made the right choice.
Daniel, for you, do you feel like you made the right choice?
I definitely feel like I made the right choice.
And in what ways? Tell me about why you feel like this has been so good for you.
Well, honestly, just if I didn't come to Cloud, I wouldn't have known really Nolan as well. I wouldn't have known my roommates, and they're some of my best friends. So, and I wouldn't have known this team, and it's a team of great guys. Everybody on the team is pretty great.
Tell me about that. I've been in the practice room. I've seen all of you guys do battle with each other, and it gets competitive. You have heated moments, in the room. But it seems like there's a bond that's created there that's tough to break as well. Obviously, you all, I'm sure, were super close with your high school teammates, and now you come into a new situation, new school, new team. But Daniel, tell me about that connection that's quickly formed between all of you guys.
Well, yeah, it's just like we're going through the same thing all together. So we're all sticking with each other throughout the entire thing. So it's not like any of us are wanting anybody else to do anything better than any of us. We're all trying to get the same goal, or at least close to the same end goal, or around the same goal. So we're all working towards that as a team, and that just helps create that bond.
Wrestling's such a unique sport in that way, Nolan, that, early on, especially the first couple of months of the season, there's a lot of opens where it's really just about you individually. There's not team scores being kept. You had a couple of early season duels, but outside of that, it's really about you going out and competing against who you're matched up against in your weight class, those sorts of things. Now we're in the part of the season where it's conference duel season. The team score does matter, and so I know you guys want to see everybody have success, but kind of talk a little bit about that, managing that from an individual perspective where you can go to a tournament and you may not be able to watch some of your pals, your teammates wrestle because you're wrestling at the same time. And so, it becomes an individualized sport in a lot of ways, but now you're at the point where the team goal and the team score matters.
So I kind of like how we have our schedule set up where we do the opens in the first half and then the team duels in the second, because I kind of look at it as like an opportunity to get ready for those duels and like the end of the season, like regionals and nationals, because that's really the main goal is to get on that podium at the end of the year. So
you had a lot of success, as I said, at Lawrence Free State throughout your high school career. You come here to Cloud County. What was that transition like? Describe to me the major differences and challenges from your high school wrestling career to now being a college wrestler.
So it's definitely more challenging. You're going from wrestling boys to wrestling men, and it's definitely just an attitude adjustment for sure.
What is the biggest challenge, do you feel?
Size for me personally is my biggest challenge, because my senior year I wrestled 113, 120, and the lightest weight class in college is 125, and I'm walking around at like 130 soaking wet, and kids are cutting down from like 150, 145. So I feel like if I was in their shoes and I was cutting that much weight, I wouldn't really have that challenge, but it gives me a reason to work a little harder.
And then obviously the season's much longer.
Right.
Though I know some of you, as you grow up, competing in different kids federations and those sorts of things, it can drag out. It becomes a grind of sorts. But from the day you step on campus, you're really in the practice room trying to get better and working towards your season. And this season drags out, as I said, started in early November. Will go all the way into March. Tell me about that grind and how difficult is that to manage, especially when you're keeping close tabs on things like your weight and those sorts of things.
It's definitely hard to manage, like that long season along with academics and your weight. But I feel like the team and our coaches do a great job of managing our time well and being responsible and accountable and just getting our stuff done.
You mentioned the academic side of things, too. Obviously, you're student athletes, and that student part comes first. What was that adjustment like here at Cloud?
Honestly, I think it was like an improvement from high school. I think there's a lot more help here and people who want to help, if you know what you get what I'm saying.
You got a pretty good support system.
Yeah. Like, they're not just doing it because their job. Like, they want to see you succeed, and it's basically the biggest adjustment for me.
Well, and Daniel, you grew up, in the community. You're well familiar with Cloud County as a place. You probably even watched a little Cloud County wrestling before coming to compete here. But what was that adjustment like for you, both from an academic standpoint and from an athletic standpoint, moving on from high school, now trying to compete in college?
Well, for an academic standpoint, I think it's a little bit easier because in high school, you're a high schooler, you're going to school 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. At college, you're going to school for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And you're going to have like 8 assignments due at the end of the week. It's not near as hard as high school because you get so much more free time. But with wrestling, I don't know. I feel like nothing really changed too much. Because when you go into a college room, it's every kid in there was the best kid on their high school team. So you're not going to go in there and just whoop up on everybody like you would in high school, you know. So you go out there and you just gotta. Everybody's just grinding and everybody's making each other better.
Nolan described kind of the physical challenge, him maybe being a little undersized, trying to compete at 125. You compete at 141. Tell me a little bit about, for you, what is the most challenging? Is it the physical aspect, or is it more the mental side of things where, as you said, every time you step on the mat, that other kid's capable, certainly capable of beating you. So is there a lot of mental, play, games that come into play, or for you, is it still a physical challenge?
So there has been mental in the past. I kind of feel like I've gotten over most of the mental. I am getting back from an injury, which I was a little gassed wrestling, but that's gonna happen. It's not really an excuse. I'm just going to have to find my gas tank back. But I feel like once I find my gas tank back, I'm going to have a good rest of the season. We only got a couple more matches, so got to go.
How do you feel like you're competing?
So I felt like I was doing – I've had ups and downs this season. Honestly, I feel like more downs than ups, but I feel like it just takes a day to turn that around, and it doesn't really matter what you did last match. It just matters what you do next match.
What is the goals for you this year?
Well, obviously, goals right now, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I want to make nationals. But then whenever I get to nationals, I want All-American, I don't want to jump goals. I don't want to look at All-Americaning before I'm even at the nationals tournament yet.
Nolan, for you, how do you feel like you've competed throughout now your sophomore campaign?
Like Daniel said, I feel like there's been up and downs, but I just gotta I gotta find the wrestler I was last night and stick to that guy. And like Daniel said, work on my gas tank, which is on no one else but me. So I'm gonna get that done and hopefully succeed.
Your goals this year? What is success in your mind?
So again, like Daniel said, I want to look at one goal at a time. So obviously that's to qualify for nationals and get to the national tournament, because obviously last year I couldn't. But when that happens, I want to get on that podium as well.
Sophomore night took place on Wednesday. 7 sophomores altogether recognized on sophomore night. Nolan, what has this group of guys meant to you? What's it been like to have this group of sophomores here to support you, to be around, to be friends with these last 2 years, and to be able to share this experience with?
It's great. And these are my brothers, and I'm going to miss them to death once we're out of here. So I don't take anything from the last 2 years for granted, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
What does the future hold for you?
Like you said last night, I'm going to take over the world.
Daniel, let's talk a little bit about the future for you. What's in store for you post-Cloud?
Well, I've really been thinking about going on to a 4-year. Me and my roommate actually have both been talking about going to the same 4-year, Avila in Kansas City, Missouri.
And you still want to wrestle?
Yeah. Get a couple more years of wrestling in. 2 more years before I have to be a normal person.
Yeah, hold off on that as long as you can, I promise. This group of guys, this sophomore group, how special has it been for you to get to know them over the last 2 years and to be able to be teammates with them?
I love this group of guys. We got a great group of sophomores. All of them, I know basically all of them. Before we even came to college, I knew about all of them except for like 3 of them, but a lot of them they're just, everybody is unique in their own ways, and all of us together, I think we're a pretty funny group of individuals. I think so, at least.
You talked about your love for Coach Julian Smith early on as well. Tell me about being around Coach Smith, Coach Clopton this year. What's it like working with those guys as coaches?
Oh yeah, so Coach C, he's a new coach on our program this year because we had Coach Blaine last year, which I mean he's a great addition as well. I mean, I think it's great for our team because he's good at working on top in wrestling, so he helps our team out a lot with that. And Julian, he's really good at working the technical portions out of everything, so he really tries to get all of our technical stuff dialed in. And Coach C really works on our top game. So it's a great coaching pair, and I think them two together are going to do some work in the future.
You've learned a lot underneath them?
Oh, yeah. I've learned a ton underneath them.
Nolan, for you, what's it been like to have these guys as your coach?
I mean, they're great guys, great coaches. I have also learned a lot under them, more than I ever would have thought, to be honest. And yeah, like Daniel said, I expect them to do some great things in the future.
Talking today with two Cloud County Community College sophomore wrestlers, Nolan Bradley and Daniel Vines. I want to close out with what I call my final 4 questions. So I'll throw 4 questions at you guys, kind of just different things that I'm curious about, that I want to know about. And Nolan, I'll start with you, because as I cover all of these different sports here at Cloud County, one of the things that definitely feels unique in a way to wrestling, I almost feel like, prior to a duel, prior to a match, I don't even know that I can talk to you guys. I feel like you guys get into like a particular zone where you're so focused on what's to come, what's ahead, that, I don't want to disturb you almost, because I don't want to shake you from whatever it is. But Nolan, what does a pre-match or a pre-duel ritual look like for you? How do you get into that zone? What music are you listening to? What is it that you do to kind of get yourself in that mindset of where you're ready to go out there and compete?
So what you're seeing is just us trying to get into the zone. And what I like to do is throw my beats on and throw on some pop music. I got a playlist called White Girl Music that I like to listen to.
What's on the playlist?
Firework by Katy Perry, Party in the USA, some Beyonce, some Black Eyed Peas, all the good stuff.
That gets you in the right mindset.
Oh yeah, always.
Daniel, for you, what's that pre-match ritual look like? What helps you get your mindset right for a match?
Honestly, I feel like I'm a little weirder than everybody else, so I don't really listen to music. I kind of just like to talk. I like to talk to my teammates. I like to talk to my coaches. I'll pace back and forth every now and then, but most of the time, I feel like when I'm pacing, I'm tiring out my legs more than anything. So I like to stand in kind of one spot, take like a deep squat down, and like stretch out my legs, and then high five everybody, and then go out and wrestle.
Obviously, a big part of this is also making sure that you make weights. You're doing what you can to be able to get out on the mat and represent your team and your school. But Daniel, when you get a chance and you can get a cheat meal in, what are you eating? What's your favorite cheat meal?
Not gonna lie, I get a lot of cheat meals in, so I wouldn't call it a favorite cheat meal. It's basically anything that I'm thinking about. I eat just about anything I want.
You have no trouble.
I don't have much trouble. I did earlier in the season, but I've been maintaining real well, and so I've been eating whatever I wanted, coming back and weighing like 5 pounds over max. So I haven't been struggling too bad on my cheat meals. I've just been pounding water and staying low.
You said it's whatever you're thinking about. What are you thinking about right now? What are you wanting?
Oh, I did just have a McGriddle from McDonald's earlier, so still thinking about that.
Nolan, for you, is there a favorite cheat meal when you can kind of go out and just relax and you don't got to worry about it?
I really never got to worry about my weight because, like I said,
You're always undersized.
Kind of undersized, yeah, so. But there's this one time, Daniel always brings it up. I went to Sonic and there was a deal on the app, and I got 2-foot-long chili cheese conies, and Daniel and Easton went to Sonic because it looked good, and by the time they got back, I had demolished both of them.
See, I feel like I'm gaining 5 pounds just hearing you guys talk about this, and you're having no trouble staying at your weight. Nolan, if somebody was to come to you, whether like a former high school teammate, somebody that, is just fallen in love in the sport, maybe a recruit that's coming into town to visit, and they ask you, like, what advice do you have for somebody that wants to get into wrestling at college? What advice would you have for them? What would you say they need to know? What do you feel like you could offer them about your experience as a wrestler at college?
I'd tell them the main thing is to have fun and really just soak it all in as you're like winding down on your last years to be able to compete.
Daniel, for you, what advice would you have for somebody that wants to compete at the collegiate level?
Oh, well, basically just stick with it when you're younger. I mean, you're just gonna, if you start when you're younger, you're only gonna get better when you get older. So if you're sticking with it, trying every day, getting better, you're gonna get better. It's just gonna be a matter of time. If you're at the collegiate level, you're definitely gonna get better because you're gonna have coaches showing you what to do.
Last question. I'll start with Daniel. Your all-time favorite wrestling memory. What stands out?
I don't know. There's a lot. Honestly, we were just gambling in Oklahoma. That was pretty fun. I made like $200 one day, and then the next day I went in and lost about $100 in 5 minutes. So the second day wasn't near as fun, but the first day I remember there was this. There were these 2 trips options, and I didn't have to wrestle the next day, so I was able to hang out there, and I didn't have a curfew, but so I'm hanging out at the tables and with a couple kids who weren't wrestling, and I was begging our coach to put like some money on the trips, and he put it on the trips, and he made like $200 strictly because of me, and I felt proud. That's all I needed to say. I felt proud.
It's funny, though, that what stands out for you is not what's actually happening on the mat, but the fun that you can have away from the mat being a part of a team.
Yeah, being off the mat, there's a ton of fun. Really, most of the time we're on the mat, it's strictly business. So, I mean, it's real fun when you're winning, but whenever you can't wrestle, especially when you're hurt, you got to find fun, and the casino really helped me out with that.
Nolan, for you, what's your all-time favorite wrestling memory?
I got to say my favorite memories are like the bus or the van rides to and from tournaments, just like the stories and the talks that the teams have. We always get a good laugh in.
I'm sure there's stories we can't share. I'm
Not
sure a
what you're
lot
talking
has
about.
happened
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
that we can't share today on the podcast, but I want to thank you both so much for taking time to sit down with me today, and best of luck on the remainder of your season, but I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you.
Are you a Kansas or Nebraska high school senior who's thinking about your next steps after high school? If so, you qualify for Cloud County Community College's $500 Early Bird Scholarship. All you have to do is visit campus before December 13th and have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, and you get a $500 scholarship guaranteed. So come visit Cloud and see why our students are Cloud proud. On your visit, you'll see our campus, meet with an academic advisor, and get a chance to have all your questions answered. Set up your campus visit today by giving us a call at 800-729-5101 extension 212 or visiting us online at cloud.edu/admissions.
My thanks going out to Cloud County Community College sophomores Nolan Bradley and Daniel Vines for being our guests this week on T-Bird Talk. And want to wish all the best to the Cloud County Community College wrestling team as they compete next Wednesday, January 29th, in a Kansas Jayhawk Community College conference duel against the Cowley College Tigers. That'll take place in Ark City beginning at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, January 29th. The Cloud County Community College women's and men's basketball teams return to action at home this Saturday when they will play host to the Conquistadors of Dodge City Community College. The Cloud County Community College women's basketball team is coming off a 68-41 road loss to Seward County Wednesday night, while the T-Bird men fell by 10 to Seward County, 76-66. The two teams aim to regroup this Saturday when they host Dodge City. The women's game will tip at 2 p.m., with the men's game to immediately follow. Live coverage of both games can be found on the T-Bird Sports Network at cloudtbirds.com. We'll be talking more basketball next week on T-Bird Talk, plus in the weeks to come. The spring sports have started up at Cloud County Community College. The women's and men's indoor track and field teams are out to a great start. They will be competing this Saturday at the NAIA JUCO Challenge, hosted by Pittsburgh State University. And then as we flip the calendar into the month of February, the Cloud County Community College baseball and softball teams are ready to get their 2025 seasons underway. We'll be talking more about those programs in the weeks to come. So make sure to subscribe to T-Bird Talk on your favorite podcast platforms. New episodes drop every Thursday. T-Bird Talk is a production of the Cloud County Community College Athletic Department.